Ladies and gentlemen, the hour has arrived. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to ask you to give the invocation, please.
Sure. Our Heavenly Father, once again, we come back before Thee. We actually look down upon us as we go into our city business. Give us knowledge, wisdom, understanding to make the right decision for our people. We actually bless those that are sick and shut in, and everyone that is having a disaster with the floods and all the things that are going on. We ask you, don't forget about us and come and see about us in your name. We ask you to bless those that are sick and shed in, our soldiers that's on the battlefield, those that bereaved. In your name we do pray. Amen.
Stand and pledge allegiance to the flag of our nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Bloodworth, as you see, is not here, but he's got a very legitimate reason. He's had to go through a good bit of medical tests and an MRI today, and is scheduled for some repair on that hole in his knee. He's got a very crippling situation going on with him, and he was very apologetic, and with what he went through today, he was put on a good bit of medication and asked it to please ask y'all to and all of us to be sympathetic with him until he can get himself in better shape. So he's out. Our attorney is also engaged, so we're flying on the seat of our pants tonight. Okay, do I hear any suggestions or alternations to the agenda as it's printed here? Okay, that's good. Andy?
I do. I just want to make sure that we recognize Mr. James Lanier with Ryland. Let him, since he's so far out, let him go ahead and tell us about Ryland. And
we'll handle that under that category. We'll be fine. All right. Entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as recorded.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The work is cut out for us. Okay, Mr. Raymond, why don't you go ahead and start with that then?
With the discussion of the Ryland contract, there's no one better to be able to tell us about Ryland than the man who works with Ryland, and that Mr. James Lanier. If you would come to the podium and tell us a little bit about it. If you have any presentations or anything to show us, let me know, and we'll get that taken care of.
Thank you, Councilman Ramey. First off, I just want to say thank you to the Mayor and Council for allowing me to come and speak tonight. There's been some discussion about our contract and the situation that we're in with our contract. And, unfortunately, we've been caught in the middle between some power plays. We don't envy that position. When we came to begin with, we promised to be a good partner with the city of Hazelhurst. That has been our goal all along. I think we have done that. We've been active in the community. We've done things in the community. We've joined the chamber. We've done local events. It's very important for us to be parts of the community that we serve. That being said, when the vote was taken, we were awarded a contract based on the information that we were provided and based on the information that we gave to the city. We feel like that is a valid contract. That contract is enforceable, and we have been trying to get that contract implemented ever since we started. Some of you may know we were turned away from the local transfer station because they wanted to raise our rate to an exorbitant amount over what they were charging the city. And based on our contract in section 1.1.1, as was approved by your attorney, it gives us the right to take that waste to another landfill or another transfer station should the contractor refuse us entry or increase the rate per ton charged to the city based on September 1st, 2018 rates. That would have caused a big problem. We were asked by, at that time, Councilman Griffin and the Public Works Director, Mr. Leggett, to not do that because they didn't want to get the city into litigation. We complied with that request. We have complied with that request since that day, And we've tried to get this thing worked out and tried to allow the city's attorney to work it out with Republic and us not get involved. What has that done? Basically, it's cost us money because we've been sitting here with a valid contract that we've not been able to implement and do the cost savings that we had proposed to the city to be able to do. We've got money invested because we ordered carts, we ordered a truck. I actually hired a supervisor for down here in this area, and we are ready, willing and able to implement the contract. Last Friday, we met with the mayor, Councilman Johnson. Councilman Johnson expressed his displeasure with the contract. Of course, he did when we voted. He voted against the contract at that time. And I appreciate his honesty and appreciate him being up forward in front with us. But at the end of the day, we had a 4-to-1 vote to enter into a contract. That contract was written by the city attorney's office and our attorney through emails. It cost me over $6,000 in legal fees for the in-between between the city attorney and our attorney to get a contract that the city's attorney felt comfortable with. That was a contract that was executed and signed. That's the contract we have before us today. That's the contract that we want to live up to. We want to, implement the way it should be done, and we want to move forward. After our meeting Friday, I felt compelled to reach out to our attorney, ask his opinion. I spent 2.5 hours with him yesterday. He and I were of the same opinion. We went through everything we could find, everything we looked at. There's an issue with some wording in a contract that the city has with the operator of your transfer station. That's where the rub is. Our intention was never to take waste out of that transfer station. We fully intended to live up to the contractual agreement that the city had with that contractor and take that waste into that land, into that transfer station, as long as we were afforded the rate that we felt was equitable. As I told this council, we had already secured other disposal options that were cheaper on us, but because, again, we wanted to be a good part of the community, we wanted to live up to that idea that we would all work together. We weren't given that opportunity by the other contractor. And so that brings us to the point that we are now. I have disposal agreements with 3 other landfills within this area that we can take waste to at any time. We don't own a landfill. We really, we would like to own one at some point, but it's not critical in our business model. Because as I presented to this council, our goal is to support small, local, rural governments, like Telfair County, who struggles to get waste into their landfill to make it pay for itself, like Toombs County, who also needs waste to help pay for itself, like Atkinson County. Places like that, we have disposal agreements with these people in place that we can take waste there at any time, as much as we want. Telfair County's tipping fee to us, I don't mind telling y'all, is a reduced rate over what their gate rate is. It's very, very lucrative for us to take it there. It would actually cost me money to utilize this transfer station. But in good faith and trying to be a good team player, we were going to utilize this transfer station. And the mayor made a great statement the other day. It's time we got the mess or get off the pot. And so we need to get something resolved on this. I think my attorney was supposed to call Mr. Smith and discuss something with him. I don't know what that discussion was, but he was going to reiterate our position on what we think is a valid contract. And Mr. Ramey reached out to me and asked me to give him my synopsis of what was going on, what we felt like with the contract. I did that. He and I had quite a good conversation, a long meeting the other day where I laid out all my information in front of him, and he asked me to come here tonight to speak. I was planning on being here anyway, but I know how agendas work, and if I'm not recognized by mayor to speak, I can't speak. I sit on the Board of Education. I know exactly how that works. So I appreciate that opportunity, and I just want to reiterate that Ryland Environmental is a growing company. We're the biggest threat to big companies because we have excellent customer service, we have financial stability that will allow us to do the contracts that we need to do, and we have the ability to hire good quality individuals, and we don't worry about stock share prices and EBITDA numbers on a financial statement, our first priority is customer service. And I think you can ask some neighboring communities how things have worked out, and I will stand by any recommendation that any of our municipalities have. I'll give you an example. 3 weeks ago, we were in a council meeting in a town east of us, Tennille, Georgia. Tennille had been with a big company for almost 20 years. The company service was bad, had kept being bad, so they decided to go to bid. We bid. When we bid a fair price. We're not always going to be the cheapest guy on the market, because that's not what we're in business to do. But our bid turned out to be $2 a home higher than the contractor that had currently, and they voted unanimously to contract with us. We start delivery of those carts next week. But again, I don't want to take up a lot of y'all's time. I know y'all got valuable things to do. I want to say again, I appreciate the opportunity for speaking, and if you have any questions whatsoever, I'm more than willing to answer them. I'll leave you a card. Anything I can do to help facilitate this thing to move forward is what I want to do. Thank you.
I want to compliment you, or your company, in being able to take part in the civic actions that we have here in our community. I have yet to see Republic do that. This is something we definitely need to get resolved, is between the conflict of our two companies. It's not the first time that I've seen or I know about conflicts with the other company. Baxley, I think, is most recent that I talked to. Their city manager, Mr. Lovett, that was over there, and he tells me that they had dropped them. And I don't know, but I believe they went with y'all, or did y'all pick them up?
Yes, sir. They received an email that if they did not absorb a $2 a house rate increase, it started at $4 a house. And I think the number was $2 a house, that if they didn't absorb a $2 a house rate increase, that they were going to stop picking their waste up. And they gave them a drop-dead date of July the 12th. That was on a Friday. I was sitting in the office Friday, July 12th, of the city manager, and we waited until 5 o'clock to hear back from the other contractor in the event that they would change their mind. There was no phone call, no email. They signed an agreement with us. We assumed the existing term of the contract, lived up to the terms of the contract through the end of the year, and then we were awarded a 10-year contract with the city of Baxley the first of the year to move forward with it. I never thought in a million years that they wouldn't pick the trash up, to be honest with you, because that's just a public relations nightmare to walk away from a contract that's valid and in place. So we showed up Monday morning, ready to pick the garbage up. I'm thinking they're going to be there, so I don't want to get into a middle of a contest with them. So if they had been there, I would have backed off. They didn't show up. They were just going to leave the city of Baxley hanging and think that it was going to be that way. And so we picked up trash. We had a truck leading our truck on the route, because all we had was from Friday afternoon to Monday morning to get route maps done, figure out where carts were, and those kind of things. So I spent all weekend down there riding around streets and alleys and stuff like that to ensure that the citizens had as little mix-up and upheaval as possible. So, but yes, sir, to answer your question, that happened. And then we were recently awarded a 10-year contract as well with Appling County, based on some of the same issues.
Well, I'm anxious to hear more from our attorney and to see if we can get this thing resolved.
And again, like I said, we're willing to sit down and talk about anything to get this resolved. But as of today, I've not been approached, called, or even emailed from anybody at the other company to even offer a solution. If I were your contractor running your transfer station and I had lost the waste volume that they've lost, I would be actively soliciting that, because that waste volume generates money for the city of Hazelhurst in the way of user fee, host charges. And right now, Ryland Environmental is the only company in this area that can bring extra waste into the Hazelhurst transfer station. because we have the waste tied up for 10 years for Appleton County and Baxley. And the waste that they pick up in other communities, they either direct haul back to their landfill or they haul to their transfer station in Waycross, simply because they don't want to pay those host fees to the city. It impacts their bottom line. So, and that's another reason we're really not, you know, I want to buy a landfill at some point, simply because I think it'd be a valuable asset to our company growth. But it's not something that we're actively looking at because we have disposal options. I'm not interested in feeding one of those big corporations landfills. I have a gate rate of $18 a ton at Wolf Creek in Twiggs County. I can build transfer stations and haul trash up there for $18 a ton all day. But it's advanced disposal. I'm not interested in furthering advanced disposal's economic well-being. I would rather help smaller communities like a Telfair County, like a Toombs County, like an Atkinson County, and be a good partner with them.
Appreciate you coming and taking
Yes,
the
sir.
time to drive all the way over.
Not at all. Listen, it's important to me because it's important to y'all. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Anybody got any questions to, Mr. Lanier?
No, I mean, we talking very good.
Yes, sir.
about that. The only thing that, like I said, I'm a novice, I'm trying
Yes,
to
sir.
get it in my mind. I know when this switched over with the other company years back, and we went to these people, what if they don't get the volume of trash out there? Will the city be liable to have to come up with something? See, that's what's in the back of my mind. If a certain amount don't go into there, I think there's some kind of way that they hold us responsible, and we are gonna have to pay out some money.
That was a previous contract,
That-
Wayne, I'm very
And,
familiar.
Right.
that's null and void now?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah, based on your current
We had to
contract,
pay a
there
lot
is
of
no
money
back
at that
charge
time.
ability.
You're absolutely correct. It was set up with the company, I was involved in that, we had quite a dispute back and forth. When the volume began to fall off and they didn't, they began to bill us for that.
Right.
And, we had a heck of a war with it and we finally
We
made
paid
a
a bunch
compromise.
of
But
money.
that's another preceding contract.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions about it?
And Mr. Johnson, to your point, the thing about that transfer station is, any company that operates a transfer station operates it for two reasons. Number one, for profit.
Mhm.
Number two, for a disposal option for their operations, because that impacts their profits. Based on the tonnages that's going into that transfer station now, knowing what I know, because I worked with these big companies for many years, there's no way that that transfer station is paying its bills. I'm not sure how long it's gonna be before one or two things happen. They either come to this council and say, hey, look, we can't do it for this price anymore, we need to go up on the rate. Or number two, they just say, hey, we're gonna walk away, and we want y'all to pay us the balance of the unused rent on that transfer station because it's not economically beneficial to us anymore. That's the two things that can happen. And, you know, right now there's some issues going on because, you know, hey, I realize how business is. They don't want me to grow. They want to keep me away from things. But fortunately, you know, our company's been blessed to be able to pretty much go where we want to go and grow like we want to grow. And we're doing it in a controlled manner to go here, go there. I mean, I've had phone calls from Aiken, South Carolina, Beaufort, South Carolina. I've had phone calls from all up around the metro area in in Atlanta asking us to come up there. I've had opportunities in Augusta, all those things. And those may come at some point. But right now, I want to focus on where we are and making sure that we're here where we should be and doing the things that we need to be doing. We're never going to be a company that loses sight of our customer service, because that's what built us. And we're not going to get big enough to where we do that, because by the time that happens, good Lord, I hope takes me home. So, but thank y'all again for the opportunity.
Wait a minute, any other questions?
No, I'm the...
Okay, simply let me, make this statement, and you correct me anywhere, Mr. Lear, if I'm wrong. We had a contract, when we take our garbage trucks and go to all your houses and go with our, dumpsters at the various businesses and pick up their garbage in these big tanks and go out there, and and we'll drive across those scales and go up to that transfer, and you go up a hill and you dump it, and they push it in there to trailers, and they haul it off for you. We had a contract for 30, how much was it a ton? Do you remember exactly what it was?
I think it began at like $31.50 a ton, it's like around $36 now.
For my illustration, we'll just use approximate numbers, I won't
Right.
be but a few cents off. So it's at $31 or $32, we were what they done. All right, when we entered into this contract, Mr. Lanier and his company and everybody that we sit here thought that he would be able, when he, with the contract that we signed with him, to go around with his truck and pick up and all and go out there, that he could dump it, that thing, at the same price that we were dumping out there. Well, instead of, when his company would go out there, instead of the price being $31, it was 50, how much?
$59.
Almost $60.
Yes, sir.
A ton, see? Well, he couldn't do that. I mean, that was impossible. It was so, well, I want you to understand, everybody to understand, that we didn't nullify this contract. We had, me, or no member of this council, or none of our, Eric, or Mr. Leggett, or anybody, we didn't nullify this contract because of the nature of the lease that Republic has, and it's got, like he says, there's a possibility of buying out the rest of this lease and all. But we had nothing to do with this. We thought that when the four of us, and Mr. Johnson wanted to keep it in-house, but at any rate, when we all decided that this was a good contract, we thought it was fixed to take place. So it's nothing that we've done. There was an existing contract that our attorneys and your attorneys should have checked out to see that you could go out there at this price.
Well, I beg to differ about that, because we weren't privy to that contract before we signed ours. That contract came about our copy of that contract came about after the fact. So, during the whole negotiation process, we didn't know anything about it. That's why, in that section 1.1.1, it was listed that, you know, in the event they did raise the price, then we had the ability to take it to another landfill or transfer station. And it's plainly stated in the contract.
Well, that's not my belief in it, and I've talked with our attorney and others. Our attorneys and yours should have got their heads together and known that you could not, they were not going to honor that under this condition, and it wasn't done. And here we sit here from 2018 to 2019, which we're heading into 2 years, that stuff has stopped us. So I want to make sure that those of you out there in the public all know that this council didn't stop this contract. We had nothing to do with it. It was circumstances of the legality of the person that owns the contract on that transfer station in Ryland of not being able to honor that price. Thank you, James.
I think that our attorney had made statement that it was debatable. I think that was at the last meeting.
Well, we've been debating it 1.5 years now.
Well, when you talked about getting their heads together, I mean, again, like I said, I spent $6,000 on letting lawyers get their heads together. That's all I can do, is do what I can...
I understand.
Yeah, and that's why, and I felt like that's why your attorney placed that in that contract about the ability for us, we were going to take it to that transfer station, but in the event that we were turned away and not done, we had the ability to take it to another transfer station and landfill. So by contract, if we wanted to start hauling it to another landfill tomorrow, we could do that. But I was asked, again, and trying to be a good partner with the city of Hazelhurst to not make y'all get in the middle of some litigation, I was asked not to do that, and so we've not done that.
Well, as I understand it now, if you have to, instead of taking your trucks and driving a quarter of a mile out to this transfer station to dump it, if you have to start running your trucks up down the road, that your price was going to have to be renegotiated.
No, sir. Not, because that price was, it says plainly in the contract that did not give us the ability to ask for a rate increase if it was by our own decision. And truthfully, I can show you the numbers. My rate at Telfair County is much more attractive than the rate at this transfer station, and I would actually make more money taking it to Telfair County based on my numbers.
Well, we need to get with the, like I say, we had nothing to do with
Yes, sir.
the fallacy of this contract. So we're at a place where we need to let your attorney and our attorney work this out.
Yes, sir. And that's why I wanted to contact him.
And let me say this too now, in case there's been some rumors spread around here. am just as amenable to you or anybody else that's got a garbage collection firm that they can come in here and offer us. Not that I'm at all stay dissatisfied with what you do, and if you're the successful one with all this negotiation, fine. I don't give a darn who picks it up, as long as the garbage is picked up and it's good for the city of Hazlehurst.
Right.
But with this thing going on a year and a half, and according to the best advice I can get, your attorney and our attorney needs to get together and do something about it.
Yes, sir, I agree 100%.
We've already done it.
Right.
And that's as far as I'm gonna go tonight.
Yes, sir.
In fact, he told me not to say that much, but I don't care. He works for me, I don't work for him.
I agree with you. And he's not here to defend himself, so he gets what he wants. If you don't show up, you get volunteered for stuff and told about stuff. But again, thank y'all again for the opportunity, and we appreciate you giving us that chance.
And thank you, Mayor, for not saying so much.
Well, if I back off Eddie Ramey, certainly fill the void, without any doubt. Okay, so much for that good start. Opie, come up here, buddy, and let's question you a little bit, and I'm gonna put you on the spot. And I thought, Ray, you talk about all the circumstances we needed to speak up, sit up, and get out of here. I thought we'd have already been gone. And here we are, just getting to item number 2.
Well, if you'd have cut out some of that, you wouldn't have been out here, see?
What you wanna ask, what we need to know?
Is this itinerary pretty much in the hands of everybody out there? You see the watershed assessment monitoring 2020, there is item 2 on this schedule. This thing has been laying, it was started 6 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Something like 6 years ago. We were supposed to, or did, through Carl Hofstetter, engage a company, a environmental engineering company, to design for us a watershed protection plan. They took the city of Hazlehurst and went out, and I'm a land surveyor, starting at 0 degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 180 degrees, and 360, to go out in all directions from Hazlehurst, and where the streams are, the canals, the ditches, the road ditches and whatnot around this town. And then in the town, the amount of water that's running in and out, and where our water goes, to take this area and assess when it rains, what happens to the water, where it goes, is there polluted water from some factory up the ways in a creek coming through here and running through Mary Ann's yard or wherever, Mary Ann's out of the city. But at any rate, a watershed protection plan of the city of Hazlehurst. Well, this thing finally got into the hands of a company. It's sort of like this mess we've got with Republic now in Island. One company got involved in this thing, and an engineering firm worked with them, and they devised that you got to go with the springtime, and you got to go back in the heat of the summer, and you gotta go back in the winter or some different times, correct me now if I get off, I don't want to, but at different times of the year, you can't just go out and do this in a week or 10 days time or a month's time and do it and go. You've got to check it all,
You got 4 cycles.
Okay.
You gotta do one in the winter, which will be during the wet season like we're having right now. And then you got to do one when it's dry. And then comes summertime, on towards the end of summer, you have to do a second set.
Well, okay, basically what a little simple, Arvane form, you've got to take and through a period of a year or maybe a little more, you've got to determine what's going on with the rainwater, the water that's coming out of your plants, and taking, and this whole watershed for this community of people, it's an environmental control thing to protect you and the people that live here, that we don't have any pollutants or poisons and all of our water is properly handled and healthy. This thing's been going on for 6 years, and finally, when did you finally get the watershed plan? When did we adopt it?
The end of last, excuse me.
It was voted and approved April the 18th, 2019.
So it's almost a year old now. that it finally got to us, and it was about 5 or 6 years old then.
Right, we had to send it off for 3 years to get them to reapprove it, or to approve it.
All right. So we've been dragging our feet for 6 years, and to be perfectly honest with you, we're on a budget crunch, as you all know. We've made all sorts of budget crunch maneuvers around here. And I said, well, heck, if we've got by for 6 years dilly-dallying with it, we're trying to turn our finances around and get our capital reserves back a little stronger. Let's go a little while longer. And Opie says that our time's about run out, and I think Opie's right.
We got the February 29th of this year to start the first micro invertebrate testing on the bottoms of the creek.
That's according to our watershed plan.
That's according
We've
to
adopted.
that. Well, actually, our watershed plan is approved because that's their method of testing. That's the state's regulatory procedures.
Now, I want to help Mr., go ahead.
Will you be able to do those first micro,
No,
checks?
I can't do that.
Or okay.
That's highly advanced testing.
All right, wait a minute. Now, Mr. Johnson hopped into the situation a few days ago, and he was going to bail us out. He's been here many, many years, and he got involved in it. But Mr. Johnson, what RDC could do was adapt this master plan that's been in the process of getting submitted for 6 years, and we finally got it done, and we've paid an engineering firm to do that, not Hofstadter, this environmental engineering firm. Mr. Hofstadter had nothing to do with this, except he helped us to work with it. Where RDC could have helped us is in that area. Now we're to the point where you got to take the chemists and the biologists and people that know how to handle these things and make the various tests that's involved in it. So we're now in the testing business, and RDC is not in this business. This engineering firm that he's gone from one to another and finally found a person that says if we'll work with him, that he will work with Opie, and that Opie do what he can do in our lab. Opie's got, in case you folks don't know, on his behalf, Opie, you ought to go in, if you've never been into his laboratory out at the sewer treatment plant, you walk in, it's just as clean as your kitchen table with all the flasks and things out there. You wouldn't believe that Opie runs the tidy, clean experiment and stuff that he does. It's right impressive if you haven't been out there. It's very good, and we commend you on that.
Thank you.
But we dilly-dally with this thing. I think it taken as long as it is. It seems that we've got this cost down from where we started, 30-something thousand. We got it down now to about 19, and
19.
you can do part of it.
I can knock to it.
And I don't think this company's going to, it's going to be over a year's time. We just going to have to bite the bullet. And I've heard this long enough. It's sort of like James Lanier said a while ago that I told him earlier, it's time to blank or get off the blank. And so, gentlemen, I think he's got the best thing. We've toyed with this thing long enough, and I'm going to recommend that y'all give me entertain a motion that we accept. What's the man's name, the engineer's name?
Andrew Pikes. He's been with
Mr.
Law
Pikes.
Laboratory for about 20-something years.
He's got all the things in here for me, I guess, Bernie, don't you have all that?
Yes.
I want it modified there, because it's got some of that PSI stuff in there too. He's going to have to bring it back on a different form. See that right up there, PSI? Right there. We're not dealing with that. It's somebody else we're dealing with, so it's got to be perfected somehow. I've already been through that much with it. But at any rate, y'all, I entertain a motion that we accept Mr. Pikes' contract to do this work for us.
So moved.
Mr. Raines made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Yeah, I don't like it.
Hey, I don't like it either. It's going to be a lot of work on me.
And make sure you put that in the minutes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call for a vote. All in favor, raise your left hand. I said left, I did that to you. All right, we're gonna have a little fun. It's unanimous. Opie, call your man and tell him to get started.
We'll get,
And tell him that, hopefully to get paid.
I'll try to get with you in one.
I'm sorry, he'll get paid. Okay, lady and gentlemen, have y'all studied the requisition form to make a final decision tonight? I ask that you do that. All right, speak up, we ain't gonna be spending all night here.
I move we approve this requisition form, get out of the way with it.
Second.
But I wanna know what you got on it. If you find my-
If you don't know what's on it, you wrote it.
Ain't nothing changed. They're leaving it like it is.
All right,
I didn't make any adjustments to it, so you can go ahead and sign it.
Okay. I want it changed.
Wait a minute now.
Wait a minute. Hold my motion.
You got a blank one at one time in there now that you were supposed to put, then you give them a blank?
No,
Mm-mm.
no,
Well, you
just
gave,
like that.
you gave me a blank.
Mm-mm,
Yeah, all right.
just like that.
All right, listen to me very carefully now, we'll handle this very quickly. We've now got each department head with some clerical and administrative help in the office to keep the office in order. I want the department heads to be able to sign this, you see, it's got department head right there, to sign this for up to a certain amount without any authorization from me or anybody else, me or you. Because they're doing it anyway, they've been doing it for years. If they're out yonder putting in a pipe and they gotta have a coupling somewhere, of course, they're supposed to have some of that stuff in stock and all, and they don't need to be running, I notice sometimes, and I won't call any names, Opie, but sometimes they'll run back and forth to town with 2 men in a truck to get a $5 item. It ought to be sort of inventoried, and a lot of that should be cut down. But what we want to do in order to make this more streamlined, but the department head ought to be able to sign this with his clerical people, and anything up to $500. And these things have not been numbered, but I want a number on them. And Ms. Bernice is already doing that. We've done that before we got it down here to you. So that, let's say that Chief Wasden takes his requisition and its number, I'm just gonna put requisition 179, and it's for $475, and he goes down to the store with that $475 requisition and gives them that requisition number for this, and he buys it, and he ain't gotta ask nobody nothing.
It gives them a trail, though, it's a paper trail.
But then that copy of this thing comes up here to Kim, and when that bill comes in, it's supposed to match the requisition form. All right, I wanted y'all to get into that, that's not on there.
Well, you told us that Monday, and I liked it.
Well, why didn't you get busy and get
I
it?
made the motion, let's go with it.
Oh, come on now. All right, then, when you get through with that, knowing the budget situation that we've been going through, and trying to get our expenses under control, I don't particularly like this either. I'm sort of about like I was a few minutes ago, I don't particularly like it. But then after that's left, the next person, if you want anything that's, we said $475, now let's say it's $2,500. He enters the requisition form, he signs it, sends it up here, and Bernice and I sign it, but I want my name, I want it to go to my desk next until such time as we change the thing. If this does not, if, for instance, it just came, a thing came across my desk just a few days ago, where rewinding two electromotors, one cost $12,000 some odd dollars to rewind it, another one cost $9,000 something dollars to rewind it, and the man was sitting there and I could buy 2 brand new motors for less money than I rewound those. And that happens over and over again with stuff like that. So if you'll take and give me the authority to put my name on there next, I'll see about stuff like that and see if I can't get our expenses back in line. And then you go back through this process. I want y'all to go back and do your homework again. I don't think we studied enough to do that right now, so you know what?
I didn't hear anything different than what you said Monday, and I liked it.
Well, it's not set up that way here.
Well, it's not, but
Okay.
you told us.
But this is what they...
All right, or then, with the process that I want to implement, and the level of authorization is fine with me. But are y'all authorizing me to redo it like I'm talking about?
I thought that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
No, heck, I told y'all explicitly, y'all decide how you want this handled, and you come back and tell me how you want it handled.
But we were saying, going on what you was talking about tonight.
Oh, I don't know whether to...
I'll repeat the motion.
Okay.
You think we ought to rework it and then bring it back to council or what?
Mr. Chairman, you have a motion in front of the House, that we approve as you have suggested. We
Boy,
approve this.
you have overloaded your rear end. And do you get
Well, I got a big rear end, let's go with it.
Did you get did I get a second to that?
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. All right, I'll handle it. All right, let's go on. We've been asked to postpone this business license again. I think everybody's familiar with this, aren't you? Explain, give him the explanation of that email that the attorney sent us.
The application,
Right here.
no action is to be taken, the license application is incomplete.
Okay.
That's from the attorney on this license. There's several things wrong with that, and we're struggling to try to do the right thing by it. Okay, y'all better be pretty, got some folks involved in this next sitting around. The Chamber of Commerce and the, Industrial Authority are gonna try to help us to get a good count with our census. And in order to, put on the program that we need to do to try to encourage and get the, complete, census that we need, they've asked us to donate $2,000 to help carry on some of these promotional ideas. I entertain a motion that we approve their request.
I offer motion that we, give the chairman the 2,000.
Mr. Johnson has made the
Because
motion
it's
that
too important.
we approve their request of $2,000 to help with this promotion. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Ramey. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried. All right, I don't think we need to, number 6 is the new mileage for reimbursement for driving cars for personal business.
It's academic.
It's academic, that's correct. Everything we can do about that. Madam Clerk, you want to explain what you were telling me about your workshop?
March the 5th and 6th, there is a, district clerk's, workshop and retreat at Lake Blackshear in Cordell, Georgia. GMA is picking up the expense for food and everything else. The only cost it will be is for the room, which the anticipated charges is $165.39 for me to attend.
Y'all want to approve, the clerk to attend this March 5 and 6, workshop for district clerks, and where is it located? Cordell?
Yes, sir, at Lake Blackshear.
With expenses a little under $200.
I moved that we approve the,
Mr. Ramey's made the motion, we approve it. Ms. Leggett has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion's carried. Same thing with the chief. He's going, Chief's Day, March the 10th and 11th, Police Chief's Day at the Capitol. Chief, you got anything to say for yourself on this?
No, sir, it's just an annual, and it's actually March the 10th, it's just a one-day thing, March the 10th.
it's Mark.
All right, entertain a motion that we approve the Chief's, Day at the Capitol.
So moved.
Mr. Ramey's made the motion that we approve it. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded and thirded.
Third.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried. All right, training for Ms. Melissa Luke on stress management and Forsyth in 2 days. Entertain a motion that we approve that.
I offer motion that, the officer Luke be sent for stress.
Stress management training in Forsyth on the 23rd, 24th.
I'll make a motion.
He's made the motion. Honey, you gonna second it for him? Second it?
Second.
All right. Motion's made and seconded that, we approve that.
Can we amend that,
Yeah.
have the mayor to go?
Yeah. All right. Mr. Parliamentarian, I think that needs to be handled. Introduce an amendment.
Here's illegal motion, though, for that.
Okay, so much for that. Yeah, I thank you, Charles, you're so right. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Nobody saying aye but me.
All right, I entertain a motion that we approve 10, 11, and 12. That's the normal, water sewer adjustment, report to council and check register. Entertain a motion that 10, 11, and 12 be approved.
So moved.
Mr. Ramey, made a motion, we approve 10, 11, and 12. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Leggett. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Charles, Chief Watson, you want to say something to us? This is under citizen comment. Now, Ronnie, you keep your mouth shut. Ronnie, you know I'm teasing. Anything you want to say, honey, you say.
I want to talk to y'all just a few minutes about a grant, and I apologize for it not being on the agenda, but there was an issue why it was not put on there. The AFG grants, which is the Assistant Firefighters grants, are opening up, have already opened up, and we have to March 13th to get ours submitted. We started the process of doing that, and we ran into a brick wall. There's a new layer of federal documentation and issues that we have to deal with this year, and it's called a new process now that if you're going to do any business with the federal government, you've got to be registered under FEMA.gov. And we went in and tried to get into the system and do that, and there was an issue where the city was already set up. We cannot get into it, so we were having some problems, and through some hard work with our clerk, and I talked to the mayor about it, and our clerk worked hard on this to getting this changed. We finally got into the system yesterday, and we've got it established so the people that need to be able to apply for a grant, myself, police department, anybody's going to get federal money is now going to have to go through this FEMA.gov. So I'm asking permission to let, I've done about 70% of the work on the grant today, so I'm hoping y'all going to let me go ahead and submit it. But it's about $197,000.
And how much of it will be local participation?
$9,100.
About 200,000 with local participation of under 10,000.
Yes, sir.
Usually we can afford to spend money with that kind of arrangement. Okay, council, I entertain a motion that we approve the man's request.
I'll motion.
Ms. Leggett made a motion that we approved it, and I think I heard a second from Mr. Johnson. Any further discussion? Anytime you can get $200,000, well, Randy will lend us 9 or 10, and he'll make sure that we don't miss any of that. Any further discussion besides the foolishness that I'm carrying on? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion's carried.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody, yes, oh yeah. This is another item that we failed to get on the agenda, but this is mostly just information. Thursday night at the work session.
Monday night. Monday night.
Monday night.
Yeah. Monday night at the work session. Charles, you need to work on trying to get me at that stress management thing. Working on me bad.
We knew what you meant.
Monday night at the work session, Steve Falk is working to really get our animal control shelter. If y'all haven't been out there, he's doing a great job in getting that under control. We've been in the doghouse with our animal control project, and he's about to get us out. The attorney looked at if SOAPS, which is Sweet Onion Animal Protection Society, which helps us finance things with our animal control, or if children and youth come out to adopt and look at pets and all, there's a form that they're supposed to, it's a volunteer application for the animal shelter that when they sign it, supposedly it keeps us from any claims or liability for any type of injuries or things that might happen. So we have those built just like when children, they'll go on a trip with the church or school or anything else, and other parents have to sign these things. So we've got this form ready, the attorney's got it ready, and Steve will get appropriate copies of it and get it out there for your use. Any questions about this, lady or gentleman? Okay. Now what else am I supposed to do? One more thing, wasn't it? Yes, we've, by the way, I'm doing fairly good. I thought we'd be gone 30 minutes, but we've, yeah, I know. I do want to say that this weather, as you know, is awful. And we're out trying to build a building, and roofing and laying brick and doing all sorts of things. And you talking about zombie midst, you can imagine how awful it is. But we've just about got our roof on our building covered. They would have already had it if it hadn't been for this rain a long time ago. We've had to keep putting, with Rhonda worrying the heck out of me every day when a piece of felt would get blown off. You've got some felt off out there. Yes, ma'am. But at any rate, it took us the time to finally buy the type material that was engineered for the building and get it at the right price, and we finally did that, Charles and I. And I'll tell you something, can't say enough about Charles Harrell. and the amount of work and leadership that he provides in a lot of things around the city of Hazlehurst. I don't know what we do without him. But at any rate, so much for that. We're gonna put the people, I told them we were gonna put them in there in May. We're not gonna quite make it. We're gonna come very close. And I walk through that building almost every day and around. And let me tell you something, all of you, when we get that, when we go up cut that ribbon, you're gonna walk around that building and you're gonna be proud of what you've got in your community. It is going to be nice inside and out. We've made it a point, but every kind of little special thing that Charles and I can come up with to make it be good, and it's gonna be real nice. Another thing I'll tell you that, they didn't think we ought to do it, nobody was gonna help us in the little old city of Hazlehurst, the little old crowd here, took the project on, you're gonna break the city and all this kind of business. It's gonna cost over $1 million, and I won't get into all that crap. I told you we wanted to go home, and I do too. But at any rate, we got a line of credit for $750,000 to build that thing for it. And the roof is only paid for, the roof paid for, except for a little bit of labor to finish putting it on. All the air conditioning and materials is bought inside of it. All the building, the prison down in Waycross, y'all, I've been in a lot of cabinet shops and all around the state. Waycross Ware Prison has got a cabinet shop. All this stuff that you see right here, that podium right there, all of this work around this office right here, prison labor did it. It beats all what they can do down there you've ever seen. They're building every door, every cabinet, everything in that thing. We've already bought material. Charles and I got a storage van down there to put it in, and we bought the material, and the material's in the storage van to build the cabinets by. The air conditioner's bought, the roof is on. I've drawn $300,000, and we've just finished spending $300 where we are now. And,
No, we still got $8,000 more.
well, but I'm talking in general terms. The point I'm trying to tell you is we've almost got a building out there and we spent $300,000, so all those smart asses, I want to cut their tongues out. And, but at any rate, so much for that.
Smart equine.
Okay, smart equine, okay. I apologize, Lord forgive me, and y'all do too. This is, we've already been having to carry insurance on it, and it has to be renewed periodically. And this is the public risk underwriter's insurance that Ms. Reynolds has prepared for. We're gonna spend a little bit more than that $8,000. This bill is for $1,334. That'll leave you $7,000 in there. But at any rate, I'm sort of tooting my whistle a little bit, and I don't care whether you like it or not. I've tooted it. We're doing a pretty good job out there. Mr. Johnson? Oh, any comments from any of y'all?
No, we done talked enough.
Oh,
Wait, whoa, ladies, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, South Side area, they are drowning. Is there anything in this world, the smell, everything is just real bad out there?
Honey, you, and I don't know how many today has called me, is there anything you can do about this, anything? Charles, I still think you ought to got me on that stress thing, son. Honey, they ain't a blooming thing we can do that dries out.
Well, I know the rain is not helping you.
Yeah, and the thing that we do, we're just soaked and in the biggest mess. So the only thing you can tell me...
Pray for sunshine.
Pray for sunshine, I got you.
Honey, I wish I could tell you something, but I'd be telling you a lie right now. Okay, anything else? Council or anybody else got anything they want to say? All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnson?
Out for motion.
Mr. Johnson moved that we go home. Ms. Leggett, if you're going to second it, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go to class.
Go to class?
Yeah. I got statistical analysis class.
My
I'm gonna be late.
Yeah.
That's my statistical analysis. It said odds of how often I'll catch another patient.
Send me an email, remind me.
It's statistics of, analysis of how likely I'm gonna catch another ace in my hand.